Do you own Android devices in your business? Do you want to manage the applications and the security of those devices right within Microsoft 365 and Intune? Well, it might be just your lucky day, because that is what today's video is all about. But before I begin, just a quick intro as always. My name is Jonathan Edwards, also known as the Bearded 365 Guy. I help businesses all over the world with their Microsoft 365. You can find more information at bearded365guy.com. So a little while ago, I made a video on my channel all about managing Apple devices right within Intune. Now, this video was quite well received, but lots of the feedback was, what about Android? So here we are. And to celebrate the occasion, I've even got a brand new Android device. And it's green. Now, before we start this Android journey, I want to talk about a few scenarios. There are 5 different ways that you can manage Android devices in your Microsoft 365. Yes, 5. And the one that you choose depends very much on your business setup. Now, to explain further, let's go over to the computer and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so we're on this Microsoft page here, which is Enroll Android Devices in Microsoft Intune. And there's all these different ways. There's also a very good PDF. So if I just click on here and open that file, you can see that this is a really useful Microsoft document for Intune enrollment options for both Android and iOS iPad. But we're interested in this page here. So as you can see, there are 5 different ways that you can set up your Intune enrollment, and it all depends on a few factors. So let's point those out now. The first one is this one here. So devices are personal or bring your own device. So if you've got a scenario where you've got users in your business and they own the Android device and they're coming to work and they just want the work applications on their device, you would use this one here. Now, this isn't what today's video is all about. Today's video is about company-owned Android devices, so we can forget all about this one. The next one we want to look at is this one here. Devices are associated with a single user. So this is just one Android device, one user. These aren't shared devices. These aren't devices where more than one user logs on. This is just one user. So we can forget all about this one here as well. Okay, we're left with these here. Okay, in fact, we'll look at this one as well, the Android open source project. Again, looking at the bottom, devices are userless, such as kiosk, dedicated and shared. This is similar to this one here, slightly different, so we can rule that one out as well. So we're left with these 2 here, okay? Process of elimination. And on here, look, they look very similar. They've got all the ticks in the right places and all the crosses in the right places. This one is Android Enterprise Fully Managed. This is where you own the device and you want to fully manage that device. The Android Enterprise Corporate Owned Work Profile means that you own the device, there's a work profile on there, but you still might allow some personal apps. Okay, so that's the crucial difference. This video is going to be focused on Android Enterprise Fully Managed. Okay, this is the option we're going to be using. So before you do anything, you've got to choose a scenario for your own business. Next up, what we need to do is get a managed Google Play account and link it to Intune. This means we can choose the applications that we want in the Google Play Store and they will synchronize over to Microsoft Intune. Now, this is very easy to do. Now, I would recommend having a dedicated email address in your Microsoft 365 tenancy to do this. That is what I've done in my example. Let me show you. So I'm logged into the Microsoft 365 Admin Center as a global admin, okay? I'm going to go down to Admin Centers and Endpoint Manager. And once that launches, I can go to Devices. Now, I can either go to Device Onboarding Enrollment or just straight to Android. It's going to take us to the same screen. Under Android Devices, I can go to Device Onboarding and then Enrollment. And this is the screen here. So the first thing I need to do is this bit. So managed Google Play, go into here. Now sometimes it does this, go into here, and this is all grayed out. But I've found that if you just come out and go back in, it might let you go back in. So click on I agree, and then launch Google to connect now. Now this will pop this window up here. I'll just make it full screen. So we need to enter the admin account, the email address that we're going to be working with. Now I've created an Exchange Online account in our tenancy just for this purpose. So I will enter the email address now. Click on next. It's recognized that this email address is associated with the Microsoft account. So I can then click on sign in with Microsoft. I will authenticate with the password. Click sign in. A bit of MFA. Okay, tell us about you. So the name of the email account that I'm using has been auto-filled in here. So now it wants a company name, so I'll put that in here. The country, United Kingdom. No to offers, click on continue. And we can add subscriptions to our admin. Now I'm wanting this here, that's already included. I don't want anything else, click on next. Agree and continue. Yes, please. Let's just setting this up now. Okay, that looks good to me. Status set up. The Google account, registration date, the organization name. If at any time I want to disconnect, I can up here. But for now, I'm fairly happy with that. Okay, now we've solved the connection between Intune and our Google Play account. It's now time to start choosing the applications that we're going to want to install onto our Android devices. Now what we do is we go to the Google Play Store, we choose the applications, and they synchronize through to Intune. Let me show you how. Okay, we are in Intune, the Intune Admin Center. What I need to do is go to Apps up here, then by platform, Android. Okay, we've already got some apps here, but I want some more apps. So I'm going to go to Add. The app type is going to be Manage Google Play App, and then we'll click on Select. And here's the Google Play app. So what I can do here, I can search. So let me go ahead and do that. Maybe Microsoft 365, click on Search. I definitely want this one, so I'll click into there, click on Select. Okay, that's all I have to do, come back. We want a bit of Teams. Click on Select, come back. We want Edge. Select, come back. And of course, Outlook. Select on that, come back. I'll also choose Microsoft Lens actually. It's an app that I really love, so we'll do that. Come back and then click on Sync. Just give that a few minutes to kick in. I might even pause the video. So quick refresh, my apps have all pulled through. You may have noticed in the last section, I accidentally selected Microsoft Outlook Lite. So I've got rid of that and I've pulled the full Microsoft Outlook through. So all my apps are there and it's all ready for the next step. Okay, the next step. What we need to do is create an enrollment profile within our Intune. Now, there are two different types of enrollment profile that you can create. One of them is fairly new. And if I'm going to be honest with you, I think it's brilliant. But firstly, let's talk about the way that's not the brilliant way. What we can do is create a standard enrollment profile. We'll then get a QR code that we can scan with the Android device. The applications will install, and then we get the user to sign in and register the device with their Microsoft 365 credentials. Now, if you work in IT, you might be thinking, it's never that easy. What happens if the user's not with you and you don't have the credentials? What happens if the user lives at a different part of the country? It's not possible. So now there is a new way that you can do it, and it's called a staging profile. So us IT folk can scan the QR code for our staging profile. We can install all the applications, all the compliance policies for that device, and then we can switch that device off and we can send it to the user, or we can wait till the user is available. The user then simply switches the phone on, enters their credentials, and voila, the device is all nicely configured. Let me show you exactly what I mean. Okay, we're back in Intune here. So let's go over to devices. Let's go down to Android. Let's go down to enrollment. And then the enrollment profile that we're going to be using is the corporate-owned, fully managed user devices. So we're going to here, and you can see we have no profiles. So we're going to create one. And I'm going to give this a name. This is going to be called our Android staging profile. You can give it a description if you want. The key here is the token type. So the default is just the standard one. So if you've got the user stood with you or sat with you, then this is the ideal solution to use. If you're just kind of configuring devices with a basic configuration and then passing them over to the user so they can finish that, then the staging one is the best option. So I'm going to choose that one here. I'm going to give it a token expiry date. We'll just say the end of the month. We're going to click on next, and we are going to click on create. And creating the profile really is that easy. Okay, I know you're all itching to see the Android getting added to Intune. Patience, Grasshopper. The next step is we need to assign the apps to the users and the devices. Now, you can assign them to users or devices, but if you're using the staging profile, I think it's better to assign them on a device level. I'm also going to give you a quick tip all about filters. Now, this is a nice way to install applications sometimes. You might have lots of Android devices in your business, but for example, you might only want to install WhatsApp for executives. You might only want to install Office Lens for the marketing department, where you can achieve all that with filters. Plus, in the next screencast, we're going to talk about compliance policies and configuration policies. So what are we waiting for? Let's have a look. So we've got our staging profile there. Now, keep a note of the name of that. That is the Android staging profile. So before I start assigning apps, I'm going to create a filter, and you'll see why. So I'll go to Tenant Administration and go into Filter. Now let's create a Manage Device filter, and we'll call this Android Device Filter. Again, we can add a description if we want, and I'm going to add this to Android Enterprise. We're going to click on Next, and then we're going to add an expression. Okay, so we're going to choose here, and the property is going to be Enrollment Profile Name. And the operator is going to be equal to, and then I'm going to put the name of the profile we've just created. Okay, Android Staging Profile. And we're happy with that. We can click on Next, and we can create that filter. And there it is. So why are we doing this? Okay, well, let's go to Apps. Let's go to Android. We've got all our apps here, okay? So let's first look at Microsoft 365. We're going to go into here, and we're going to go to Properties. And you can see at the moment, this app isn't assigned to anyone. So we're going to click on here. So I'm going to make this app required for Android devices, okay? So I'm going to say Add All Devices, okay? Then I'm going to click on Filter, and then I'm going to click on Include Filtered Devices, and then I'm going to choose our new filter. So what we're saying is include all devices and include this filter. So it's the devices that will be added to the Android staging profile. It's just quite a nice, easy way to do it and quite a neat way to do it. Okay, click on Select, Review and Save. Save that. Okay, let's go back to some more apps. If I just refresh this now, this should go to Assigned shortly. Let's just do that again. So I'll go to Authenticator. We'll go to Properties, and I will click on Required, Add All Devices, Filter, Include the filter, click on Select, Review and Save, Save. What I'll do that for a few more of the applications, and I'll come back to the video. Okay, you can now see that lots of these applications are now assigned. So there are a couple of other things that you might want to do, and I'll introduce you to those settings now. If we go to Devices and Android, we've got a couple of things here. We've got configuration profiles and we've got compliance profiles. And I highly recommend that you use these. First, let's look at a configuration profile. What kind of things can you do here? Well, if I just create a new policy, we'll create a platform, Android Enterprise, and we've got all these different options. So these are personally owned work profiles. These are the settings here that we can choose. So let's have a look in device restrictions. Click on Create. We'll give this a name, Android Configuration Profile. We can give it a description if we want, and then we can click on Next. And then we've got a lot of configuration settings that we can use. So just let me show you a few of these. So this is for fully managed, dedicated and corporate owned work profile devices. So what can we do? We can block things like screen capture, we can block the camera, we can stop people tethering to hotspots, USB file transfer we can stop, external media we can block, and also we can look at the system updates. I think that's a good idea to make that automatic, so it's always getting the newest version of software available. And then we've got these extra settings for fully managed and dedicated devices. So there's an awful lot of things here we can do. We can block things, we can allow things, we can really control the device. And got all this, look. We've got system security. We've got device passwords. So what kind of password do we want for the device? We can choose the device default, or we can look at biometrics and things like that. Power settings, connectivity, lots of different things. So this is for you to work through and decide what restrictions you want on your devices. Again, if I just come out of here and then go to Android and compliance. So compliance policies are really useful. These dictate what security, what compliance level your Android devices need to be at in order to access Microsoft 365 data. And if these Android devices fall below that compliance policy, you can essentially block access. So you're always ensuring that these devices are at the right level. So I'll create a policy, we'll choose a platform, we will choose the fully managed, click on create, give it a name, okay, click on next. And then we've got lots of different compliance settings. So we might choose that actually Defender for Endpoint needs to be there. We might look at the device health. We might look at the device properties, that it needs to be a certain minimum OS version. So I think we're on Android version 14 at the moment. So we might put that into here. Okay, so if someone comes along with a device running Android version 12, then it's not going to be allowed access. So it's a really useful thing to look at. Okay, system security. What I think at a minimum in the compliance level is this here. Require encryption of data storage on the device. You can look at all these, we can look at passwords. I think you need to start configuring these. You need to look at device properties. You can come up with your own compliance policy, but at a minimum, use this one. You click on next, and then what happens? What actions if a device is non-compliant? So at the moment, all that will happen if a device is non-compliant, it will mark it as non-compliant in Intune portal. Nothing else will happen. What you can do, you can build on that. So you can send an email to the end user. You can choose your message template, any additional recipients. So you might choose your help desk. You can send push notifications. You can remotely lock the device. So again, if a device, it's quite secure, it's quite a keen way to do it. But if a device falls out of compliance, you remotely lock it. But for some businesses, that might be a really good idea. Okay. Once you're happy with it, you can select all devices. You can click on next, and you can create a compliance policy. Bish bash bosh. Okay, we're finally ready to get our hands dirty with the Android. We're going to add it into Intune. Now, something else that you need to do, a word of warning. You have to reset the device. Now, not everyone will be happy with that scenario. If you need to take a backup, take a backup. Obviously, in my case, the device is brand new, so it doesn't really affect me. So let me show you how to add an Android device into Intune. Okay, so it's now time to get our Android into Intune. What do we do? Well, we're in the Intune Admin Center. We go to Devices. We go to Android. We go to Enrollment. And then we go to our corporate-owned, fully managed device. We open up our staging profile, and we select the token here. And what will happen is it'll show us a QR code. Now, this is the easiest thing ever. All we're going to do is we're going to open the QR scanner on our Android, and we're going to scan this QR code. So let me just switch over now, and I'll put what I'm doing, I'm filming the Android screen. Here we go. So you can see my Android. It's been reset. It's ready to go. So with an Android, what do? You tap the screen multiple times and the QR code comes up. So here comes my finger. Okay, it's opened the QR code scanner. So all I'm going to do is lift this Android up and scan my main screen. So I will do that now. Okay, it's scanned, and what it wants me to do now is connect to the Wi-Fi. Now, you could be quite clever with this. If you look back to the last section, we could have put a configuration policy in, and we could have set the wireless network and the wireless access password, so it automatically connected to Wi-Fi. We didn't do that, so what I'll do now is I will connect this phone to the Wi-Fi. Okay, that's getting an IP address, and it's getting the phone ready. Okay, that's setting up now. Okay, this device belongs to your organization. So what I will do now, here's my finger, click on next. Let's set up your work device. So all this is done at an IT level. This is obviously before the user has the device. Click on next, registering the device with Intune. And as you can see, it's installing the applications. So the required apps are the Authenticator and the Intune. And then the additional apps that we pushed out, we've got the Microsoft Teams, the company portal, Microsoft Office 365, Outlook, and Edge. Click on More, Accept, Next, skip that for now, and it says that we're all set. So if I just go to the home screen, now there's some apps installed, and the apps will continue to install. So I'll just leave this for now. So I've left this about 5 minutes, and you can see now that my apps, we've got Microsoft 365, we've got Outlook, and we've got Microsoft Teams. They're all starting to install on my device. Okay, if you look back now, you can see that my apps are installed. So it might be worth now looking in Intune. So if I go to Android, you can see here, look, my device has appeared. The device name is being appended with the word staging. So this is in staging mode at the moment. If we look at primary user, it says none, but we do have management over this device. And if you look at managed apps, you can see that all these are installed. We go back to overview, and we can do all the things we need to do. But at the moment, as I said, it's still in staging mode. So what do we need to do? Well, if we just hop back to the phone now, if I was an IT professional or an MSP, I would have shipped this device to the end user. The end user receives it, they switch it on, and then they say, right, what do we do now? Okay, so I would advise them to open Intune and click on Sign In. It will ask them for their Microsoft 365 credentials. Click on Sign In, bit of MFA. Okay, now they select Register, and that device should register, and it should move from staging to register. Click on Next. Click on Done. So I'm back in Intune. I've had to edit a few bits out of the video just so it flows better. So this is kind of a quicker process. But I've refreshed now, and you can see that the device name is now Jonathan Android Enterprise. You can see that it's compliant, and you can see that the primary username is now myself. So we're all good within that. Let's just hop back to the device, and I'll show you what effect that has on the device. Okay, here's the device here. Well, you can see, look, if we go into Edge, you can see that that is personalized for me. It's saying, hi, Jonathan Edwards. That means it's my device. Okay, let's go into Outlook as well. And you can see it's found our account as well. So all we have to do is click on continue, and the emails will be added. So the device now is really personalized for our use. Okay, that's it, folks. If you've got Android devices in your business, I hope you've learned some valuable lessons today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Look forward to seeing you again soon.